Previously, the group decided to leave Oz and Zaya's home to hunker down in a nearby inn to better avoid attention from the Praetors. The six nat ones that were rolled over the course of the next half hour or so had a different plan. The group quickly drew the attention of a second Praetor who was heading towards the initial disturbance. Taria immediately made a run for it, while Zaya tried to talk their way out of it. When the Praetor prepared to use a crystal that would dispel any active magic, though, Sean dove into a nearby canal, although she tried to make it look like she tripped and fallen. She did so to avoid losing the magical disguise she was wearing to hide her appearance, which would have made it very clear that there were magic users in the group, a bad thing for everyone. The others continued to try to talk their way out of it, but the Praetor noticed Enola's eyes glowing, and things went downhill from there. Several of the group attacked the Praetor before everyone but Zaya jumped into the canal as well. Zaya, in the meantime, heard a noise nearby that sounded like Taria yelping in pain, and she used her Aasimar healing hands to get Taria back on her feet, as she'd fallen while trying to climb up onto the roof and been knocked unconscious. Then they dove into the water as well. The group, minus Auntie Suzanne, who was separated from them in the water, found themselves near the river. They decided that getting out of the city as quickly as possible was a priority, so Keelan made a makeshift canoe via creative use of ice and carried everyone but Sean across the river. She told them she'd meet them at an inn outside the city, and she made her way to the Society of the Gilded Rose, an upper-crust brothel run by the Luminous. That is, the bankers and financiers of the world. Her plan was to make sure she had an alibi in order to protect her family, since her face was somewhat recognizable as a bastard daughter of one of the noble families. The housemaster, a dwarven woman, had clearly already heard that Sean was involved with the magic use in the city earlier in the evening. She agreed to provide Sean with an alibi in return for her owing them a very big favor, although it was more to keep her family in their position than for her own sake. The Luminous then provided Sean with a private carriage to immediately take her out of the city, with nothing but what she had on her, and gave her a warning to stay away, because she'd become a liability. Outside of the city, she walked for a bit before finding somewhere to make camp for the night. Meanwhile, the rest of the group traveled out of the city on foot and had a fun time trying to get through the marshlands. Quicksand may or may not have made an appearance, as did lots of single-digit rolls. Eventually, at the point where it was definitely morning and no longer night, they arrived at the inn they'd planned to meet Sean at. They were able to talk themselves into a nice suite where they all promptly fell asleep. Later in the morning, once Sean had woken up, she continued walking until she arrived at the inn. She was quickly able to find out where the others were staying the moment she mentioned she was trying to find a group that included a bearkin, which led to an awkward conversation between her and Keelan. Eventually, much later in the day, once everyone was awake, the group bought some supplies. The plan was they would travel eastward and try to meet up with Elder John, who was traveling towards the city. Zaya left a message for him at the inn, just in case they passed each other on the road. Sean, in the meantime, sent a few letters to her family back in the city. Then the group prepared to start traveling away from Avanos. And that is where we left off.